So, driving up the 65 right now, headed towards Gary, and I mean, it's not the most interesting road of all time, but I did catch a pretty good podcast off the Joe Rogan Experience. It's kind of one of my favorite ways to take up time when I'm just driving and there's not really much to do. You just turn it on and like sort of zone out in a weird sort of way. You're paying attention, but you're not really in your head. I don't know how to explain it, but basically the podcast got my mind thinking, because they were talking about like doing what you want to do in life, and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what, like I mean, in the past there were a lot of things that I would have liked to try, but I never had, like, either I could never get my foot in the door, or I didn't have like the money to actually do it. And now, like, if I had thought of something that I was like, oh, like, I really want to do that, I'm sure that I could probably figure it out. I mean, maybe not, I don't know, but I mean, I could still give it the good old college try, you know what I mean? Like, I have a reasonable amount of money and I've got like responsibilities to take care of, but they aren't insane. But yeah, what I wanted to make a video about was like doubts, because even like now, like just doing what I'm doing, I still have like a reasonable amount of doubt, like with the goals that I've set for myself. I know that they're kind of high, and like when someone says they want to retire before 30, like I have, and I don't mean retire like, I mean, I've explained this many times, but just in case this is the first video you're ever catching, you know, retire as in have the money set aside for retirement, like it's just there and it's gonna build and progress throughout my life, but I don't have to worry about that anymore. It's taken care of. But yeah, I still have doubts about if that's gonna work. And in the past, before I was a truck driver and I worked at a factory, I had doubts. I had doubts about even being a truck driver at all. And I mean, this probably happened a couple of months before I got into the industry, where I was like thinking about it, and I was like, oh, I don't know, yada yada yada. I was like sitting there thinking, you know, oh, what if I, you know, want to have a family or whatever? Like, maybe that's not the best idea to be gone all the time, and it's not. But I basically realized, like, I'm in a dead-end job, essentially. Oh, we gotta move over. I'm in sort of a dead-end job that doesn't really lead anywhere, or if it does lead anywhere, it's gonna take 20 years to get there. And I couldn't see myself remaining sane in that career for 20, 30 years. I would just implode. Oh, come on. Never mind. Hold on. Okay. Never mind. I guess I'll not. Hold up, y'all. Got a little drama. Okay. Anyways. But I had doubts about getting into the industry at all. And then when I decided, you know, I wanted to do it, I had doubts about being an over-the-road driver. I sort of looked at a couple of companies and I was like, I don't know if I really want to be over the road. Found this company and realized that they had a regional situation. I was like, oh, you know, maybe. But then I thought about that and I was like, well, because they explained it on the application or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was over a year ago now, but it was something to the effect of, you know, you're gone for 6 days, or like somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 days, and then you get 1 day off a week. And I was like, I don't want my life to be that either, because it's like way worse. That's horrible. Like that's basically switching from what I had at that job to just doing something different, but still living like the same life and not like actually being home at all. Like even though I was working 6 days a week at that factory, I could still afterwards, you know, go do something for a little while. I mean, that was kind of nice, but at the same time, I didn't really like it. I don't know. It just seemed like a waste of time looking back at it. But I was like, you know, I don't really want to do that. And so decided to be an over-the-road driver. And basically I don't know how to exactly transition into this, but this is just a burning memory that I have in my mind from when I was like 17, somewhere in there. So, I was like 17, 18 years old, somewhere in there. And I was working at a grocery store, and I was a cashier. And I mean, it was a fairly nice job, and I mean, you just, like, that's what I could get when I was younger, so I was like, okay, I'm just doing this. And I must have rang up thousands of people. Like, oh man, I don't know. I was there for quite a while, but I must have rang up thousands of people, and most of them were just like, you know, oh, weird weather we're having, yada, yada, yada. You know, they're kind of like shooting the bull and not really saying much, but I do remember, still to this day, and I don't think I'm ever going to forget this guy, but he came through, and I can't remember the exact jargon that you used to have to say to, like, initiate, like, I don't know, you know how you just walk up and you're like, oh, did you find everything okay, yada, 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 that sort of thing. I can't remember the exact jargon that we used to say, but I went on with that, and it was like, oh yeah, I found everything okay, and, you know, it just seemed like a normal thing, but he like looked at me, and he's like, is this what you want to do? And this guy was like 60 something, I would say. He's like, is this what you want to do? And I'm like, I had the thought where I'm like, no, of course not. Like, are you, like, no, this is not for real. But, you know, you're at work, you have to be a professional. And I was like, well, I mean, you know, it's maybe not a forever thing, but, you know, for right now, it's certainly good enough for me. And he's like, I can't remember exactly what he said in between here and there, but eventually he got to his point of, and I mean, we had gone back and forth a couple of times, and he was like sort of getting frustrated with me, like really, you're gonna put up this professional demeanor at me and not be real with me? And at the time, that was just kind of how I was, like, super professional all the time. And I mean, nowadays I understand when I can be, or when I really should be a professional first and foremost, and then, you know, other times where I could kind of relax with how I behave. But he goes, well, if you ever do want to do anything besides this or something to that effect, he said, well, make sure you do it before you get old like me. And I was like, you know, I remember I had no idea what to say to him. Like, I was like, you know, just kind of dumbstruck with it. And the thing about that is, at the time even, I was already considering, like, you know, like, what do I want to do with my life? Because you're like, you're 17, you're 18, and you're like, you know, that's like the point in your life where you're like, you got to make a decision of what you're going to do. And like, I just couldn't figure anything out. And I had some hairball ideas, and I was like, you know, oh, that'd be really cool, or this, that, or the other thing. But nothing that I thought I would actually, you know, pursue. And I mean, truth be told, I didn't really get very far with any of that stuff. But you know, it's not like effort was never put forth in that sort of a way to try and do something that I wanted to do, rather than something that just made me money and that was the end of it. And like, even to this day, it's still something that like rings in my mind, was that guy right there. And I have no idea like what happened to him, have no idea where he is, I have no idea, but it's not really important. The thing that is incredibly important was that message that he gave to me, which was like, you know, do what you want with your life. Don't just exist, and then one day you look up and there's an old guy staring at the mirror, or like there's an old guy in the mirror staring at you. And like, that was basically his thing, was like, you know, you need to enjoy your life rather than just float through it and just exist. And that's one of those things that helps me out with doubt. Just to sort of bring it around in a roundabout way, I was trying to think about that, but that's sort of one of those things that helps me out with doubt, is like, well, you know, how do you want your life to be? And like, the things that I do in my life are very intentional, especially when I'm at work. Or, I mean, even like my house, I don't look at it as, oh my God, I bought a house and yada, yada, yada. I look at it as, okay, I've got a house. Now, instead of paying someone else for rent, I'm paying myself in equity in that house, so that it's not so hard for me to get to my goal of where I want to be in my life. So essentially, you know, I keep comparing what I want with what I have and how I'm going to like close that gap. I don't know. It's just a thought, I guess. Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, my goals are a little extreme. I understand that, but I think they're attainable. And just based off of what happened in my first year of truck driving, I think that this is the way to get to where I want to be in my life. I think that, like, sometimes I have like this feeling of like, you know, oh, well, you know, maybe and this is going to be real for you. It's like, oh, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. And this is those times when you're like just burned out, and you like, what you really need is like to just stop for the day and relax or whatever. But, you know, you really can't. It's kind of strange like that. You kind of just have to work through it. But shit, where was I just going with that? Dang it. Lost my train of thought. I just lost it completely. Where the heck was I going with that? The doubt. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I might have lost that one, boys and girls. Oh, yeah. No. No, I didn't. Like, sometimes I'll be thinking about it, and I'm like, maybe I just want to go home and get a normal job. But then I think about it again, and this is that doubt thing, where you're like, oh, maybe, this isn't ever going to work, and, like, why am I going to, burn myself out all the time? And why am I going to push so hard for this goal? Like, what if it's just never going to work? Like, what's the point? Why wouldn't I just go home and, like, relax and enjoy life a little bit? And then I think about it, and I'm like, well, do you want to go home and exist as a normal person for the rest of your life and just float through it? Or do you want to elevate yourself? I mean, that's the most pretentious way that I could possibly say that. But do I want to, like, how do I really want my life to be structured? And is it worth it to put the time in right now so that I don't have to do it later? And I was even thinking about that today. Like earlier this morning. I don't know what the heck it was, but it was like just like looking at, I don't know, I just people watch because that's what I do. And like so many people out here especially are like over 40 at least. It's what it seems like. And like when I look around, like most of the time I'm like the youngest person that I can see, and it's really strange to me. And it's like I'm not sure if people just don't get that this job could like do something for them until they get to that age where it's crunch time and they have to, make ends meet and get their retirement in order and yada yada yada. But for me, I look at it and I'm like, this is the way to do it, so it's not nearly as hard to live my life when I get to their age. I don't know. These are just thoughts, I guess. Oh yeah, I gotta change lanes. Alright. But yeah, I'm gonna get the heck out of here. I don't think I have anything else to say about that. I always like to put a little moral at the end of my videos, so I'm trying to think of one. I don't really know what to say about it, but I mean, this life is just too short to have doubts like that. If you think that you should do something or you might like doing something, why not give it a shot? And especially a career like this, where you could literally call a company and I swear to God, bang, like that, they're like, oh, well, you need this, and this, and then you're there. And it's like, oh, okay, here we go. And like everything about driving truck is really easy to get into, and maybe it's not driving truck that's like your calling or whatever in life, or you don't think that it's something that can help you. I mean, that's like, what are you gonna do? Like, it's not for everyone. Like, this is not for specific types of people, and sometimes like your goals don't align with this, and like it's not for you. So you need to examine that yourself. But I don't know, just doubts in general. You need to really think hard about what you want your life to be. Do you really want to just be normal, or do you want to be more than that? Just something to think about, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I guess that's the moral, isn't it? We're gonna end it right there. So yeah, I'm gonna get the heck out of here. Cruising on into Gary. And yeah, y'all have a good one. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.